is to the media, to your twisted, immoral society, and your communist government. We hate you all, and we are ready for war. We will always speak up and expose the corruption, the authoritarianism, the tyranny, and the hate.
Truth dispels lies, as light dispels darkness.
From an undisclosed location, deep in an occupied zone, you are listening to Covert Radio.
Well, good evening, good morning. This is Covert Radio. It's early Thursday morning, November the 17th of 2022. And oh, do we got a jam-packed little presentation for you here. You know, cut that down. This honestly probably will be one of maybe the last video here that I'm going to even mention Tommy Sotomayor, because at this point, you know, mission accomplished, basically. And, you know, that has several connotations, but I'm not one to take victory lap after victory lap after victory lap. I'm just not that dude. And I don't know how anybody that has known how this went for the last 6 years, maybe longer, I don't know how you never thought this actually was going to be the end result. How did you not come to that conclusion? Do you think karma is not real? Do you think that the yin and the yang, ancient Chinese and Eastern knowledge is, you know better? You know better? You know the difference between good and evil, the balance of the universe. You reap what you sow. You know better than the Bible. I mean, there's so many variations of, you know, proof and suggestions and warnings of you get back what you put out there. But to start this show off super proper like, we're going to go a little old school here. And Tommy, why don't you get out that woman's house?
Get out that woman's house.
Yeah. Ooh.
Get out that woman's house.
Tommy girl, get out that house.
You need. Get out that woman's house.
Yeah.
You need. Get out that woman's house.
Yeah.
Get out that woman's house.
Tommy girl, get out that woman's
Get out
house. Yeah.
that woman's house.
Yeah.
Get out that woman's house.
Girl, you know it's time to go, Tommy. Get out that old woman's house. Yeah. Yeah.
You're 45.
48, 49.
Tired of the drama, boy. Tired of people saying you stay with your mama, boy.
Oh, but he do though.
Screaming out, but she's close to me. Really though, it's your heart and stomach on groceries.
Oh yeah.
Can't afford to feed yourself, and you would never be rich. Let's not even talk about wealth.
But I was.
Talk about health. You steady eating the raiments, steady getting fat, but I don't hear your ass complaining.
Oh, it's just start.
He's a bitch that's on the real.
I'll go ahead and link this song into the description. This was LA, Realgame Radio. And boy, the nights after nights after nights that when Tommy had that endless fatherless America money that he openly admitted was a scam and he was scheming. And again, he still finished his cell phone documentary just in time in lieu of a class action lawsuit. And, he put some crap out. You have a bunch of, fake accounts who promoted, and, he paid for that level of promotion, which is click farmy. And it's, I've exposed all this. I've exposed it all. But you got to get out that woman's house, T. You know what I mean? Leave that old woman alone. It's not, you only, it's just, it's sad. I mean, it actually is sad. I'm not true Freeman. I'm not dancing in the streets, and because I knew this was the end game. I knew this was the end result. I knew it was going to happen. It was clear as day. How could you not? And with that being said, of course you can blame this one and that one and this one and that one. And we're going to get into that a little bit. You can blame whoever you want. But he is to blame. And the whole reason I'm doing this video is because if you look at this screen, I barely got through this video by D. Rizzo. Let's take a look here. Oh, man. So many screens right here. I barely got through this. You could see here, this was about 3 minutes ago. If you look right there. 17 views, November the 17th, 3 minutes ago. And it's about 11 minutes long. And I was listening to it in just total disbelief. And it, and this isn't a dig at anybody. I mean, we're all grown-ups here. We all have our own opinions. We all have different perspectives of reality. Reality is something to me that's very personal. It's nothing that is, and again, I've done show after show about this. Like, there's differences in people's reality. Your reality truly is very personal. And there's no guarantee that your life experiences or what has shaped your life or your own values or your own morality is the same as somebody else's. And with that being said, you're going to have different points of view on a lot of different things. And I also covered some information a while back. It's actually right here. I brought it up so we could go over this real quick. This was an article published by Science Daily, and it talked about this is your brain on politics. There's research being done, and this is back in 2012, this publication here. But I mean, 2013 was a banner year for this type of information and experiments and studies that were being done. 2014 was another banner year that this research was done. But it's your brain on politics. Neuroscience reveals brain differences between Republicans and Democrats. And not to get all into this, if I can find the video that I really went over this stuff in, I'll link it in the description, but I'll just go over this part here. New research from the University of South Carolina provides fresh evidence that choosing a candidate may depend largely on our biological makeup. That's because the brains of self-identified Democrats and Republicans are hardwired differently and may be naturally inclined to hold varying, if not opposing, perceptions and values. This study showed a strong link with broad social connectedness with Democrats and a strong link with tight social connectedness with Republicans. And the reason I even started investigating this many years ago was because I don't understand how there could be two people that grow up basically in the same city or the same town, and yet This person over here is I love Trump, Trump this, Trump that, Trump. And then you have the next door neighbor that's like, fuck Trump. He's, like, so how does this happen? And it literally does. Like, neither one of us can relate to what the other person believes or thinks, even though environment plays a part on that. But this goes deep. This goes into the amygdala. This goes to neuronetworking inside the brain, the posterior hemispheres of what's more widely used or leaned upon. And if you had to give an overall kind of consensus, like mostly people who identify as Democrat or sort of lean in that direction are very emotional people. And that makes a lot of sense because a lot of their front subjects or beliefs it's emotion based. And Republicans tend to rely heavily on the amygdala, and there's a sense of fairness, a sense of justice, things like that. So, I mean, and again, this is all, I'm not getting into any of this. I'm just doing this to prove a point because this video here, I cannot relate to it. And that's why I'm covering this. This is not a dig at D. Rizzo. I'll link this video in the description. This is just to show you an example of how two people can look at the same scenario with two polar opposite beliefs around the information. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play some of this, and you're going to hear what D. Rizzo says, and then I'm going to give you my perception on what he says. Because there are some of you that's listening to me right now that is going to completely understand what D. Rizzo's saying, and that's going to resonate with you. And then there's people that are going to listen to my response about the exact thing he's saying, and they're going to be like, yes, Covert Radio, absolutely, 100%. And again, it's just, how can two people who've experienced all of this, because, this isn't a personal dig at D. Rizzo, but I do have images, screenshots, documents from up to 6 years ago with him being active at Victim Owns and how heavily he's been involved in this. So, and that's what I'm telling you. Obviously, my own track record, I mean, the proof, I have all the receipts. I've published them all. Not even all of it. I mean, there's a lot you guys have never seen. And there's a lot of videos that were taken down immediately for false flag campaigns, which again, D. Rizzo, if not directly involved, was a part of that with Victim Own. And I have all the proof of that. The first time Covert Radio was taken down during the appeal process, I had a case. And I showed YouTube a lot of data. And I don't think they could believe the amount of proof that I had about coordinated attacks and just, I don't know. I'm not getting into that. But all I'm telling you is this. D. Rizzo and I have essentially had the same experience with the same people involved. However, I'm going to show you now the differences and the different points of view. And again, this is shaped by life experiences. Maybe it's because he's black, I'm white. I don't know. Maybe it's because, I don't know, his state of mind or my state of mind. But I can tell you this, even before I hit play on this, and I firmly believe this. And once I do get into politics, like on a higher level than what I'm already involved, once I am involved on a higher level and I have an ability to actually start to really create impactful legislation nationwide, I'm going to really craft legislation or at least amendments for family courts, custody hearings, anything that specifically deals with children or families, I want it so that the people who are actually making decisions, whether it's based on law or circumstantial evidence or what have you, I want it so that these people must be parents. And see, I think that's, everything that we're going through right now with the change of morality in this country and the question of what's a woman, what's a man, I don't know, I can't explain. Like, this purposeful implosion of sanity and morality is truly all by design. This, again, is a 100% communist ploy. This is Marxism, this is communism, and this is all to whittle us down to a hump of what we were with no individuality, zero. And any individuality is going to be reinforced and controlled by them until they can consolidate all of us in one. And that'll be a new 9/11 and see, that's the thing with Kanye. And I have so many shows in the wings, man. Like, I just want to say this real quick. Kanye, if you guys look at the track record of anytime he gets this level of attention, normally something bad happens. There's either legislation, there's bills, laws being passed in the shadows. We're right before the time of, when Congress breaks and everything. Like, so we're coming up on the holidays, and there's been a lot of things that have happened around this time of year because people are checking out. They're checking out emotionally. They're checking out mentally. They're decorating for Christmas. They'll turn the news off. No news this Thanksgiving. No politics. They know this, and it's purposefully reinforced to cause this divide. If you ain't black, you ain't voting for Biden. Really? So see, there it is. It's the divide. And wait till all the illegal immigrants are granted amnesty. Just wait. But I see it all coming. And that's, again, not to get way off track here, but that's another thing. See, I always feel like, I know there's smart people that listen to me. I know that. And I purposefully have crafted my content around higher than normal intelligence of people. I could easily entertain idiots 100% with ease. And actually, I want to mention that here in a moment because, all of you who are so up in arms about daddy and you're crying real tears because daddy's living with your grandma again. Because Daddy Tommy's living with his mommy again, okay? And you're crying tears about this. And you're making excuses of why this happened, and you're defending it. And you're mad at, like, True Freeman. But, I don't know. What Tommy has done, never mind. I'll get into this in a moment. But my content purposefully is for above average folks. You know what I mean? And I know because you wouldn't be listening to me unless you had above average intelligence right now, because you'd be too worried about listening to, I don't know, True Freeman ramble on for 5 hours about, I don't know what, because I can't listen to it. I don't know. And that's why I value people like D Rizzo, because they can listen to it, or people like Johnny Blaze, because he can listen to it and he reports on it. So I appreciate and I enjoy that, because I don't have the time and I can't do it. So I appreciate these cliff notes here. And I'm way off track. Let me see here. Well, I was going somewhere with that. It's your higher rank people, Covert Radio. Yeah, I don't know. But my content is, it's not for everyone. I completely understand that. Anyway, now I feel like an idiot because I know I was going somewhere with this. I'll circle back once it hits me. But before I get into this, I just, the value of information that I'm giving you is to be carried with you for the rest of your life. I give you valuable insight and information. And whether it's stuff that has been created by me, or it's things that I've learned or what have you, that has always been my goal, is to create value for you. If I didn't know me and I was dialing around the internet looking for something to listen to, I'd be so happy to find me. And that's what I try to be for you. Could I entertain a bunch of idiots? Absolutely. Absolutely, I could entertain idiots. But that's not why I'm here. I mean, I know there's idiots that also listen to me, but that's not why I'm here. And I could do that. And I've thought of doing it just as an experiment and kind of document it. You know what I mean? Like Covert Radio would document me creating content that's dumbed down for idiots. And also content that reinforces the divide of black and white, reinforces the divide of Republican, Democrat. You know what I mean? Reinforces all of it. Amnesty for the illegals and the 400,000 people that are standing in line trying to legally get in the country. You know, you don't hear too much about them. But anyway, I could create content that just lays on top of that line and reinforces it. And I'm interested to see how much help I could have then. If that person, it wouldn't be called Covert Radio, but if they would be allowed to be an influencer, because I'm helping influence your agenda, your communist agenda of dividing the masses. Oh, that's what I was going to say. I always feel like, I'm proving to you guys that I know what I'm talking about. I always feel like I have to prove to you. And you may misconstrue when I say sometimes I've said this. And if you remember, I said that 4 years ago. If you remember 2 shows ago, I said da-da-da-da. I'm not doing that from ego. And I'm not doing that to be cocky. I'm doing that because I always feel like I have to validate myself to you. And if you've heard one of the last 2 shows, I forget which one it is, and I didn't have the time to grab the clip, but I was speaking to True Freeman about assets and wealth and, how he was trying to prove to me that he does have a window and he has pots and, you know what I mean? Like, because he misconstrued an idiom that I had stated where I said, you don't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. And he took it literal. And then he just went on this rant showing me pots and, I don't know. But anyway, he misconstrued it. It was a colloquialism, an idiom, and he took it for literal. And I didn't mean that literally, but then I was talking about money and assets and wealth. And I warned all of you guys, this was 2 to 3 weeks ago at least, maybe a month now. I'm not sure. I'd have to look, but I know it was at least 2 to 3 weeks. I said, do not get into crypto right now. I saw something coming. I watch the trends, and I have a whole show about this, but I know hardly any of you care about crypto. But I'm telling you right now, everything that just happened to FTX is by design. This more than likely was a Democrat stronghold, a pump and dump. It involved Ukraine, the Biden. Like, there's so many dirty people connected to this company. This young kid, 30 years old. These are people Kanye's been talking about. His whole family. He's an MIT grad. His families are professor. So what I'm telling you is he walked away with something like $20 billion, or he mysteriously lost all these people's money within hours. So that started a chain reaction, and everything is down right now. But it's not going to stop. And not to even get into this, but I'm just so you have some insight in case I don't get to this before it happens. They're imploding crypto right now. This is a bomb that's been detonated. If you want to look at FTX as the fuse or the bomb or however you want to look at it, it's blown up now. Now they're going to start looking for other landmines. FTX is the start of an implosion of crypto because it's out of control. There's no regulation of it. Nobody has full control of it. And they have to reel it in now before the Federal Reserve launches their digital currency, which is the mark of the beast, which will be replacing the pieces of paper in your pocket right now. Because eventually paper will be outlawed. See, they tried to do it with COVID and, so we're going to burn money in PALs because it's carrying the virus. And, remember the change shortage? There's still signs up at certain places. Oh, we need quarters. Please no change. Please, so, I mean, they can't just flip a switch. I mean, they can if they drop a bomb somewhere, which that's on the table too. But I'm getting way off track here. I feel like I'm always having to validate myself with you. And I don't think it's really for the smart people because the ones who pay attention know. They know I know what I'm talking about. But I don't know. Either way, where are we at? 20. Yeah, we're 20 minutes into this. Let me hit play on this.
Yeah, so True Freeman is feeling really good right now. He feels like he's been reunited with his first love, and it feels so good. Freeman, you finally got Tommy to talk about you again, and you're feeling real good right about now. Went out, got yourself something to drink, and now you're full-on drunk and singing to your boyfriend. Singing to your boyfriend, Tommy. Well, sir, please bear in mind, and do not forget, that while you're celebrating the fact that Tommy is broke, and we're going to go ahead and say he's broke, I don't care one way or the other. It's a great...
Okay, well, maybe. I'll... You know what, D. Rizzo? I'll go ahead and take what you just said at face value, sir. I'll let that ring a little bit true there that you don't care, because maybe you don't. Here, let me show you something real quick. I'm going to go ahead and hit the thumbs up here just so you know I support you and your work. And I'm going to take that for face value that you're indifferent to Sotomayor's finances, which something tells me that you may have given him money over the years. Maybe you haven't, but I know if I did, I don't think I would be indifferent. But then again, too, pride would seep in and you'd really feel like, not you, but people who have been robbed by him probably feel a little dumb. And I have recordings of people confronting him. This one guy's like, "Thank you for robbing me, Tommy. Thank you for robbing me. Thank you for taking, and I bought a shirt too that I never got, So there's tons of those recordings out there. And Tommy's like, yeah, I'm getting my scam on. So yeah, maybe you're indifferent to his finances. However, there are people in your crew who as recently as like 2 to 3 weeks ago went on some sort of a diatribe about at least Tommy owns his mansion, at least Tommy owns this, at least Tommy do this, at least Tommy owns that. And I don't even acknowledge or respond to it because it makes me feel bad how stupid and ignorant some people are with regards to reality and the way they're seeing the information, because they really may not know better. Just like I know there's some numbers being thrown around in this video of what his worth is, and I assure you, it's nowhere near 10 million. It's never been anywhere even close to 5 million. I have pretty solid numbers. Now, collectively, over all 6, 7, 8 years, it may have creeped towards the 3 million level, but see, that's another thing that I think a lot of people can just because you can say the word $3 million or 10 million or 5 million. Most people cannot relate to the reality of truly how much money that is. I mean, that's money. Like, you can't imagine having that amount of money. I mean, you could spend $20,000-$30,000 a day for I don't know how many years straight before you'd really start putting a dent in that. You know what I mean? So it's like, and really, after you go 2-3 months on shopping sprees, spending $10,000 or $20,000 every single day, I don't know. Don't you get tired of spending? You know what I mean? So I mean, all I'm saying is, he's never even been close to $10 million. So, but we're not at that point yet. And I'll just take what you said at face value, that you don't care about his finances. However, other people do. That's close in your tribe there, in your crew, and they've gone to war for Tommy, for Daddy. Oh, it's the other thing too. I listening to a lot of these videos coming out in the last 24, 48 hours. Covert Radio may have come up with a new mental illness. If you remember, I came up with several. One of them was the S4 virus. What was it? The Soto starstruck syndrome, where people thought, and they would be starstruck, like he's actually a celebrity, which living in squalor in rented houses, paying with it from stolen money. So I called it a syndrome because it's a mental disease. You can't see the reality of what he is or who he is. You just see the car, the Cadillac with the cinnamon leather that's been long gone, or you see the mansion, the struggle mansion, part 1, 2, 3. Now he's living in his mother's basement. That's reality. That's reality. So I may have come up with a new syndrome because a lot of you fanboys, and I'm again speaking to the fanboys that are listening to me, a lot of you Soto fanboys are really going hard against people who speak out against Daddy. And I'm toying with the acronym. I think we're going to go with something like the SFMHS. Do you suffer from SFMHS? The Soto Fanboy Mama House Squad. Do you suffer from that, or are you part of the Fanboy Mama House Squad? You go to stand guard. You're going to stand around her house and make sure Big Bad True Freeman ain't going to dance or sing songs. All right, let me hit play.
Grown man, he'll take care of himself. But let's say he is broke. Let's say, like you said earlier today, that the man made $20 million over the last 10 years and squandered it all. He bought...
He's never come close to 20, but go ahead.
Several mansions and several...
He never, ever, ever, ever owned the deed to any one house. He's never owned the deed to any place that he's lived in the last 7 years, 8 years that I know of. Go ahead.
Several hoes and several computers and several...
Yeah, actually, that is true. He has spent a lot of the money that was supposed to go into a documentary. He spent a lot of that money on trips to Vegas for prostitutes, living a lavish lifestyle, staying at the best hotels. And yeah, that's all true. That's definitely true. But we're nowhere near $20 million. Like, come on.
Fake movies and scam people and all that stuff. And yeah, I do believe he cheated more than a few people. But let's say he did get...
So let me ask you something, D. Rizzo. And I mean, this is a double-edged sword for me, because even if you do answer me, I probably won't hear it, because I can't listen to... I can't listen to people who play my stuff and then like, you know what I mean, critique me. I can't do it because I don't have the extra bandwidth for that. I don't. I normally get it through secondhand emails and like, oh, you know, this timestamps, you know, whoever said this. And I get like I get the cliff notes, you know, from some people, but I say I'm asking you the question, but it's probably rhetorical because you don't have to answer me. But I'm curious, do you really believe what you just said? Or have you realized that the mounting evidence of everything you just said is so overwhelming that anybody who would deny that he's a scam artist, that he has robbed tens and tens and tens of thousands of people, that he has squandered every single penny that has been given to him for everything other than his living expenses and his lavish lifestyle. And then what got him kicked off of GoFundMe was he tried to change the means of a campaign he was running, the fight against liberalism. Once he was busted for that, and he could not show receipts for not one penny of that money being used for the intended purpose. See, I have all of the receipts. Do you remember the fight against liberalism? He could not show one receipt for the fight against liberalism. And he got barred and banned. Then, if you remember, well, let me ask you this, Tommy, since you're not on YouTube anymore and you've lost, I don't know how many Instagram accounts and you've lost whatever else, well, whatever happened to Soto Vision? Do you guys remember that? See, this is like, it's almost like there's amnesia here. Do you think Fatherless America was the only source of money that he stole from people? It may have been the biggest source of money, but it wasn't the only. Do you guys remember Soto Vision? I covered that in depth, all the way to the FCC and the Exchange and Trade Commission, because he tried to start an LLC under what's her name? I can't remember her name. I can see her face. What's her name? I don't remember. But yeah, she was listed as the CEO and all this and that. She was also the one making accounts for him in her name through, you know, the first time he got banned from Instagram and stuff. Casey or something, Chastity, I forget what it is. I know it started with a C, I think, but yeah. So I wanted to see what the Trade Commission had to say about Soto Vision LLC or whatever it was. Limited Liability Corporation. Without one penny, the only thing he could show that he actually spent money on was like a one single page website. It wasn't even a website. It was a web page. There was like coming soon, under construction, you know, like a $20 web page. Something that would a kid could throw together in 10 minutes who knew HTML, a handful of HTML. Back then, I'm saying. So yeah, remember Soto Vision? Well, why aren't you on there, Tommy? Remember you were buying T1 lines, you're going to buy partial T3 lines, and Tommy's going to have his own. Oh, Izzy. I covered that in depth too. I specifically remember that. So what about all that money? You know, so I mean, I guess that's my rhetorical question, D. Rizzo. Do you really believe what you're saying, or do you just realize that there's so much evidence that shows everything that has been assumed? I get not assumed, but proven. I mean, there's no assumptions here. There's speculation about some things, but the vast majority of it was online that he offered up. So, I mean, you'd almost, like, looking back, you'd almost have to be, if you went to bat for daddy and put on a little cheerleading outfit, and I'm not saying you, D Rizzo, I'm saying anybody listening to me, any of the fanboys, if you have your little pom-poms out, I mean, don't you feel stupid in retrospect? I don't know.
$20 million over the last 2 years. I would go a little more conservative and say 10 million, but we'll go with 20 million.
Yeah, 10. No, if you cumulate everything, and I'm saying like dinners, hotel bills, if you add every single penny up, AdSense, revenue, donations, I don't know. You might get around 3 million, 2 to 3, maybe. And I mean, even at 2 to 3 million, that's a lot of money, but good.
Let's say all of that is true. He did that and he lost it. Is that because of his, let's say, addictions, his vices that he can't keep in check? Is it because of his personality? Who's to say what it is? Is it because of trolls? Is it because people flagged him down? Is it because of his ideas? Because people don't like hearing what he says? Because he has an opinion which is not popular and could be damaging and even hateful when seen through the right lens?
Very astute, D. Rizzo. So let me ask you a question. And again, you don't have to answer this because I won't hear it anyway. Do you have a daughter, sir? Do you have any kids? Do you have any children? Do you have any daughters? Do you have any black or biracial daughters? And see, this is what I was alluding to before about your right, not you, anybody, like say a judge, their right to preside over family law cases, but yet they don't know what it's like to be a mother or a father. They don't have any children, but yet you're writing laws or you're overseeing hearings that's dealing with children. And, like a CYS agent or something that has to go out and investigate abuse. Do you have children? You're completely correct by stating, depending on the lens that you viewed all of his rhetoric and propaganda with. But I assure you, sir, that if you have a daughter, it hits way differently. It hits way, way differently. You have a mother. That's like what I was saying before about how easy it would be to create gutter content and, along the lines of agenda, propaganda, and divide, which would absolutely be pushed to the top. See, because of Black Lives Matter and everything that's been going on the last few years and the sudden disappearance of all the white people from bigger streams of media, which I do have a show coming up on that, and you will never believe why this is happening. I know why it's happening, and nobody's ever going to tell you why, not the truth. It's unbelievable, really, why all the white people are disappearing. But because of the heightened, seeming shallow awareness of like literally the same writers, the same owners, the same CEOs, the same board of directors are writing the same commercials, the same, ad placement opportunities. And it's like the big hand coming in and picking out the white people, and then they just drop a black person in their place. I've seen so many unrealistic commercials that if they've literally just taken a white person out and they dropped a black person into it. It's shallow, it's shameful, it's laughable, and it's embarrassing. And if I was black, I'm telling you right now, I would have a very big problem with what's going on in the the restructuring, because really that's what it is, of let's call it the black experience. And speaking of the black experience, what the fuck is the black experience? Why can I go to Comcast or Xfinity or whoever and you know, you look for movies to watch and there's a whole category that says the black experience? So you mean to tell me that I can go to that menu of options and I can somehow experience what it's like to be black? You see what I mean? You see what's happening? They're not on your side. I will blow your mind when I tell you why all the white people are disappearing. By the control of the controllers. Because what they're doing, it's actually worse than doing nothing at all. Because they're building a box that's shaped like a circle and they're jamming square pegs into it. That's what they're doing. There's no real representation anywhere in any of the black caucus and any of the black leaders, and the ones who truly have the desire for equality are immediately ostracized in public, like Kanye West. And we can have this conversation anytime you want. Because I love Kanye West. As a brother in Christ and who he is. But I'm telling you that the gutter content that Sotomayor made is only not working now because of the new structure that's being built for black people, for black Americans. And they cannot be caught anymore turning a blind eye to what they've been alerted to for the last 6 to 7 years. Because now they're liable. They're liable. And when it goes to court, which it almost did again go to court, they're not going to be able to ignore a paper trail and years and years and years of complaints, flags, emails, physical locations being walked into, YouTube headquarters in Manhattan being rolled up into, or being shown this is what's happening and this is what's going on your platform. This is what you and your moderators are allowing to happen. They couldn't turn a blind eye to it, and Tommy is too stupid to modify, or he's not talented enough to change or modify his gutter content. That's all he has. 6 years ago, there's a video somewhere on my channel, and I opened it up like this. Here's what I said. And I wish I could have found it before I recorded this. I said, welcome to McDonald's. Would you like fries with that? No, Tommy, try that again. Welcome to McDonald's. Would you like that large size? Okay, try it like that, Tommy. Okay, no, you're not. Okay, better yet, try this one. Welcome to Walmart. Go ahead, try that. Yeah, actually, you know what? Put a little oomph into it there. Welcome to Walmart. There you go. Yeah, get used to those words, Tommy. Mark my words. Get used to those words. I said that 6 years ago. Receipts. Published receipts. I saw this coming. And I'm telling you something right now. I could easily make gutter content. And you know what I would do? I would instead of it being black women, I would reinforce the negative stereotypes of black men. How Tommy picked a small percentage and tried to convince the entire world that this is how black women are, this is how black women act. I'm going to go find the most craziest clip I can find. I'm going to find the craziest people on the planet, and then I'm going to tell everybody, you see, white people, this is how black women are. Okay? I could do the same thing except with black men. That could be my gutter content. I'm reinforcing racism. I'm reinforcing divide. Except I could do it in a more eloquent way, like that goes on every day. Just like cultural appropriation. You see that trigger word? You see that trigger word? That's not saying F this big ass blah blah effing whore like Tommy does, because he has no vocabulary. He's too stupid to turn around and use the words like cultural appropriation, which is one of the hottest topics on TikTok right now. I can rise to that level of vitriol, and I can rise to that level of gutter, but use fancy words. I could talk about how violent black men are. I could show clips of black boys running amok in Chicago, and I could tell everybody, this is how black men are. This is how black men act. They also abandon their children. Hey, by the way, did you ever hear of Fatherless America? Right there's the proof. There's documentaries about it. I could go on and on and on and on. And you know what they do? You know what? They blame the government. Black men blame the government. The white man done took us black men out of our family. The white man came and removed us. The government came and took the black man out of the family. Really? Nobody's taking me away from my kids, but I guess some mysterious big hand that says government comes and rips your roof off and plucks you straight out of the house that you work for. Oh, you don't work. The fact that 1 out of 4 black kids grow up without a dad, that's an illusion. Okay, I'm creating vitriol. Again, this is a whole other character, a whole other channel. I'm showing you what Tommy Sotomayor did. He picked a very small percentage and tried to convince people that that's the majority. How does it feel being a black man listening to what I'm saying, what this white man is saying to you right now, or really saying to the world? Because I could easily prove the popularity of Sotomayor with so many young men, young black men, and I've proven that's besides the racist stronghold that he had in 2016, 2017 with Stormfront and David Duke and all of, where he was actually pretty useful to their message. That all faded away. And I don't care what you say about Tommy. He's my brother. And I hate my mama too. And I can't stand my girl. I can't stand black women. Because they won't accept me for who I am. I got nothing but excuses. And I blames the white man and the government. And my black women won't put up with this anymore. They want better, but I tell them no. Now I hate them. And that's why I love Thomas so much. And that's why I hate my mother, because she gets the blame. She never gave me a father because my father left her because of how she is. Really? Is that why? Okay, fine. But you know what? It doesn't stop there. There's other propagandists out there that's fully supported by YouTube because they have a slightly different way, a more eloquent way to push racism and divide. Like Tariq Nasheed. Oh, did I mispronounce his name? Umar Johnson, both of whom I've covered on this channel. Both vitriol propagandists of hate and racism and divide. And see, the beauty of them is they fill in all the gaps. And they continue the agenda of destroying black women. They continue the agenda of pushing blaming everything like Tariq Nasheed does on 300-400-year-old history. And then he takes, low IQ people who follow and are privy to that type of hate and that type of vitriol and that type of content, who navigate to that because they're low vibrating beings. And they're looking for somebody to give them excuses. They're looking for somebody who wants to kiss their emotional boo-boos. And Tariq Nasheed manipulates them, trying to convince people that this was 50 years. This was 50 years ago. This was hundreds of years ago. Hundreds and hundreds of years ago. But he plays on uneducated people's emotions. And everything that's wrong in your life, the blame gets pushed back 300-400 years. That's why you live in the projects. It has nothing to do with what you're doing, or the fact that you won't get a job, or the fact that you won't try to do better, or the fact that you won't take advantage of all the free education. You won't take advantage of all the free vocational programs that are out there. You won't take advantage of anything that's being handed to you for free. You just want to find people like Umar Johnson, Sotomayor, and Tariq Nasheed to keep pushing and reinforcing all of the excuses that you believe are real. They're crippling you. They're crippling you. They're crippling you mentally and emotionally. And they're reinforcing your own excuses, all the while emptying your pockets. And you love them for it. You love them for it. You love them for it. And you blame me for bringing it to the surface. How the fuck does that work? You hate me for telling you the truth. Just like, and I'm not even talking about this clown, Sugar Tank, but the all black, first black ever on planet Earth, first black ever, black owned, black building, black about black people, black African culture, black everything, first ever on planet Earth. We're going to build I only need $1 million to build the museum. And he got well over $1 million. He got well over $1 million. Even though when I covered this, I listed no less than like 55 0. I listed no less than 50 strictly all black, black owned, or black board of directors, completely dedicated African American history museums and cultural centers all over the United States, including the one that's only like 5 or 6 blocks away from where Tariq Nasheed proposed the location for what he says is the first ever, only all black, everything owned by, for, African this. It's the only one on the planet Earth. And then you have a bunch of people in the comment sections and on the GoFundMes and all. We did it. We did it. We did it, y'all. We did it, family. We did it. What did you do? You gave money to a narcissist who lies to you and misleads you and manipulates you so that he can spend another $150,000 on lip gloss and hire a bunch of sweet boys so he can make a new music video, stroking his own ego. And all this is based because somebody told him once in 1993 he looks like Montel Williams. This is how we do it. It's easy. It's easy. I can do the exact same thing. But I choose not to do that. I choose to try and elevate, enlighten, elevate, educate, elevate, enlighten, educate, elevate. That's what I've chosen to do. There is not one Covert Radio broadcast that does not have a myriad of stacks of information for you to take and make a part of you or share and learn from. And I just saved you 10 years, 15 years, and $10,000 of education and experience so I can concisely teach you something in less than 5 minutes. Sometimes there's multiple things in the span of an hour. I mean, that's what I've chosen to do. But let me hit play on this.
Who's to say? History, I guess. But let's say all of the above is true, and he squandered $20 million and is now living in his mother's house. Tyra, look in the mirror right now. Look in the mirror in the downstairs bathroom, right there by the vestibule. I want you to grip the sink real tight and prepare to get hit with this truth bomb. Are you looking in the mirror, Tyra? Okay. Everything you said and everybody else has said about Tommy over the last couple of days, weeks, years, whatever, is all true. He had that money, he stole it, he squandered it, he bought weed, he bought whatever other drugs he uses, he bought hoes, he rented mansions and vehicles that he couldn't pay for. $20 million all gone, and he's living in his mother's house. Here comes the truth, Tyra. The truth is, you were living in a car. You were living in a car, Tyra. You got out of a boys' home. You did not graduate from high school. Your last documented grade is the 5th grade, Tyra. They tried to teach you in the boys' home to prepare you for the GED, which you failed. You failed the GED, Tyra.
I've told you guys this before. I don't have a high school diploma. What does that mean? I do not have a high school diploma. So what does that mean? Because I'm going to tell you something that we're talking skill sets here. I don't care about pieces of paper. You know, every time I've ever hired somebody for any of my companies or anything that I needed extra help with, if it really came down to an interview process or paperwork process, I don't think I've ever one time, and I'm saying over the last, say, 15 years, maybe 18 years, we'll just say 20 employees. I don't know, not a lot, maybe 25. Well, no, it's been more than that. So we'll say 30 people, and we'll round up 20 years. Okay. Out of those 30 people, I don't recall one person being either excluded or included because of a fucking GED or a high school diploma. That's number one. Number two, I don't care. I don't even care if you show me a doctorate and you slap that down on my desk. I don't care. I want to ask you some questions, and I want to know what you know. And one of the questions I've always asked people is, tell me 3 things that you've mastered. Tell me 3 things in your life that you feel you've become a master at. And I don't care if one of them's sewing or one of them's cooking or one of them's basket weaving or one of them's brain surgery. Whatever it is, tell me 3. Actually, I say, tell me 3 things you're very good at. And that's what it was. I always say, give me 3 things you're very good at. And then be like, well, I do this and I love to do this and I do that. Okay. And then out of those 3 things, which one of them have you mastered? Oh, well, I'm master level at this. And then I'd say, well, that's what I'm hiring you for. Especially if it was a content specific job. That's all I want you for. I don't care about anything else. And I'm going to tell you something. True Freeman will never go hungry again. He will never live in a car again unless, unless some circumstances befall him and that's in his cards. But I'm saying he has the skill set for that to never, ever, ever happen again. It may have happened to him. Your insightful questions, D. Rizzo, why don't you ask Sotomayor those questions now? Here, let me rewind a little bit so I can make sure I understand what the questions were.
Tyra, look in the mirror right now. Look in the mirror in the downstairs bathroom, right there by the vestibule. I want you to grip the sink real tight and prepare to get hit with this truth bomb.
Okay, so let me be the devil's advocate here, okay? Tom, I want you to go into your mother's basement bathroom. Yeah, the powder room. It was last decorated in 1968. Yeah, that one that the church bought. Another group of scammers. But geez, there's a lot of saved souls, so you can have a new toilet to sit on in the powder room downstairs. So go to the powder room, grip onto the sink. I know you've heard this before. I know you've heard this before, but no, it's not for that. It's not for that. For your panto. Grip onto the sink, and I want you to look in the mirror. Okay, so go ahead, D. Rizzo, because I'm just playing devil's advocate here. We're talking to Truist Freeman and Thomas Sotomayor, I forget, Moistener? I don't know.
Are you looking in the mirror, Tyra?
Are you looking in the mirror, Tommy?
Okay. Everything you said and everybody else has said about Tommy over the last couple of days, weeks, years, whatever, is all true. He had that money. He stole it. He squandered it. He bought weed. He bought whatever other drugs he uses. He bought hoes. He rented mansions and vehicles that he couldn't pay for.
That's a lot of truth there, buddy. You must listen to Covert Radio. I don't know. No, I know you know.
$20 million all gone, and he's living in his mother's house. Here comes the truth, Tyra. The truth is, you were living in a car. You were living in a car, Tyra.
Okay, so here we go. Here's the truth, Tommy. You were living in your brother's girlfriend's apartment between there and your mother's.
Got out of a boys' home. You did not graduate from high school.
You got out of high school, and you, for some reason, always wanted to lie about working for IBM, and there's no records or proof of that ever happening. I think you did go to a little bit of college or something, but for the most part, you worked at like a call center, like a telemarketer. You can always do that again. They may have had a contract or been a subsidiary of IBM, but you've never worked for IBM. And you were living in an apartment with your niece's mother.
Your last documented grade is the 5th grade, Tyra. They tried to teach you in the boys' home to prepare you for the GED, which you failed. You failed the GED, Tyra. Okay,
and no, there's no proof of any, even though Tommy has tried to lie and say that he has, which I have it. I wish I would have, dug some of this stuff up, but I have it. I can always get it, pull it up. It just takes a while. But yeah, he lied and went on to this one road one time about how he's a psychologist or he has some weird, like, I don't know, some esoteric degree in something, like, so, you know, he tried to, it was like a fake diploma, and, you know, it was this whole thing that he tried to lie about. So, yeah, I mean, this is, you know, we're kind of, these are apples and oranges. Let's get to skill sets. Let's get to what really matters, not pieces of paper. Okay, let's get to what is going to put food on your table.
That in of itself is not a death sentence. I know quite a few people who did not take and or failed the GED and went on to live productive lives and have families and all that stuff that they themselves were able to pay for. But you, sir, after dropping out of the 5th grade, after failing the GED, after finding yourself living in a car, after realizing that your mother was a crackhead and your grandmother was unable to take care of you, you, sir, found your way in a car sleeping and was rescued by a woman who had 5 or 6 kids, who basically adopted you and made you another one of her children. You, sir, spent your entire life arguing with people, beefing with people online, being taught loads and loads of misinformation.
So, you know, that's all speculative. That's all, you know, that's your opinion. You know what I mean? I don't know if he has spent all his life arguing online, which obviously he has, and he's had to have taken some time to learn all the skills that he is good at. Construction, concrete, auto body, you know, those are all very, he's in the upper echelon of that, toying the whole time with law, you know, which has been recognized by people other than anybody even near the sector. Where he was once on a radio show or something locally with them, with where he's from. So, I mean, you know, that's all, you know, it's relative, I guess you could say, because there's no proof that he has ever been misinformed. You know, isn't that the whole question of today of, you know, misinformation and what it actually means? But here's what it really means. This is what misinformation is. We are communists. We own the media. You're going to listen to what we say, and everything other than that is going to be labeled as hate speech. It's going to be labeled as misinformation. It's going to be labeled as propaganda. And no matter if it's provable facts or not, it didn't come from the, you know, the Ministry of Truth, you know, that the government owns, like Facebook and CNN, and, you know, it didn't come from there. So it's obviously misinformation. It's hate speech, and we got to silence you. That's what YouTube's been doing the last several years. That's what Twitter was doing prior to Elon Musk, which I don't trust Elon Musk either. But, you know, that's where we're at in society, in reality right now. So, I mean, misinformation is completely subjective and relative to the person saying the word. But go ahead.
You are the flip side. There's a train passing. You are the flip side of Tommy Sotomayor. Whereas he's had some success, and at least a little.
I don't look at it like that, bud. I don't. And again, this is why this is so fun and interesting. You know, you look at what Tommy's done as success. What is the measure of score? What is the measure of success? Because if it's money, he has lost. I mean, if that, you know, any time he has had in the sun was borrowed. So, I mean, what's success? Like, what measure? What are you, what's the unit of measure here? Like, because I personally, and again, this is why this is so fun, to just show everybody how two men who have been involved in this for 6 years or so can clearly have polar opposite lenses and experiences so differently that it's almost like two different realities.
A little bit of money in the process. You have been encountering nothing but failure and L's. Nothing but failure and L's. Tommy moved home with his mother and is living in his mother's house. If anything happens to you over the next couple of weeks, because you don't own that house, if anything happens to that house, if you're forced to move out of that house, if anything were to occur where you had to retreat to someplace else, could you retreat to your mother's home?
See, you know, that's a good question, D. Rizzo. But here's what's fucked up. There's no other way to put this. True Freeman's living conditions or his own domicile, in reality, in my reality, is no concern of anybody else on this planet other than him, his family, his G babies. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's the only concern. But you guys, not saying you personally, but your crew, people that are in your crew, have taken a very hard line to make sure that he doesn't have a place to live. He doesn't have a house, a roof over his head. And you're actively trying to get him to be homeless, living in a car again. So how do you have a lens that says if you wind up in this, if and you don't own the house? But the reality is, that's like telling a dog, if you shit in a house, I'm gonna beat your ass. But you lock all the doors. You don't give him an opportunity to shit outside. But you feed him and feed him and feed him and feed him, but you lock all the doors. The pet door's locked, every door's locked, and you won't let him leave the house. And then you beat his ass because he's shit in the house. Like, what do you want him to do? You want, and you're actively, purposefully trying to make him homeless, and you've been. There are lunatics in your crew that have stopped short literally of nothing. It's lunacy. It's nobody's fucking business. So, I mean, but again, this is the fun part, because you look at this one way from a certain point of view, and I look at it from a different point of view.
No, you couldn't. Because your mother just got out of jail and she was on parole, and you can't be near her. And even if you were able to be near her, she doesn't want you near her because you abandoned her in her time of need.
So with Tommy, and I have all recorded instances of this, well, maybe not all, but I have a lot of him calling his mother a whore, of him, disowning his mother, of him, just being a completely disrespectful, ignorant, ungrateful pile of garbage live to the world, or to his mother in front of the world. So, but yet True Freeman's mother, who has obviously mental issues and drug addictions and things like that, there's leeway there or something? Like you see what I mean? How are you, what is the current state of mind here? Because, there's assumptions being made that is not all completely accurate. You know what I mean? Because if True Freeman had a mentally ill, or if she wasn't mentally ill, I should say, mother, or she didn't have addictions or whatever, you know what I mean? What would the relationship be compared to somebody who has a mother who's seemingly sane or what have you, a preacher, and yet has called her every name in the book? and has went on and on and on and on about how he bought her this, he bought her. You didn't buy her shit. You stole the money and then peeled off a few $100 for your mom. You know what I mean? So that's reality, dude. That's reality.
In her worst moment, when she was going to jail, facing going to jail, you abandoned her. You didn't come see her. You had no plans of sending money on her books. You didn't help her in any way. You are the lawman, and you did not help your mother. And she knows this. She will remember this. She may never say it, or maybe she will. She seems like the type who doesn't hold her tongue, just like you. Your mother would not allow you to stay in her home. Where would you be if not for that bando that you're in right now? Where would you be if not for the fact that Mr. Wayne is in another country and doesn't care who's in that house, because you being there and paying the taxes every year is one less set of bills that he has to take care of, which is the only reason he lets you sit there. It's cheaper to let you sit there than it is to throw you out. You're living by his grace.
You want to talk about grace? To an ungrateful son who has blasphemed his mother to the world, and then she opens her door yet again to him to have so the boy is not on the street trying to sit at a McDonald's and you know what I mean? And while I'm even saying that, let's not take this too far out of perspective here, because Tommy's smart at the same time. He's not that stupid when it comes to manipulating people and scamming them. So there's going to be a lot of fanboys who are infected with the Soto fanboy Mama House Squad, the SFMHS crew. There's going to be a lot of them digging deep into their pockets so Tommy won't have to whip with his mommy. He knows what to say to all of the fanboys to get another $20 or $50 out of their pocket. So let's not ignore that fact as well. Because before you know it, guys, Tommy's going to be buying another Cadillac with cinnamon leather. Then next thing after that, he's going Tommy build a mansion. Some bitch. He built a mansion with his two bare hands, brick by brick, block by block. Tommy did that. The fuck out of here. It's exactly what it would be. He owns mansions. He owns a jet too. I seen it. I seen him on his jet. Because he took a picture out of the window, and then he took a picture of a jet and said, going to Vegas. So Tommy has a jet, too. So he has a jet, and he has mansions coast to coast. And he has a Ferrari, but he never drives it. It's in the garage. No, it's in the shop because a black woman wrecked into it. Talk about grace. What about that level of grace? Unconditional love for your son, I guess. It's the curse of being a mother. It really is. To an ungrateful son. I see it all the time. So, and with regards to the house and landlord Grace and this millionaire who lives in another country who owns God knows how many properties, True Freeman is paying the taxes off of another guy's owned portfolio. Do you understand that? So that'd be like me owning a portfolio worth $3 million of real estate in, say, Indiana. And every one of the properties in my portfolio, I don't pay the taxes for. But some of them I get rent. Some of them are a little late on the rent. There's a couple that don't pay anything. But guess what? I own all the houses. They're my assets, and they're paying my property tax. So at any moment, I can use any one of these houses as collateral for my next investment or my next property acquisition. It's not grace. It's business. I'll let almost anybody stay in any one of my houses as long as they pay the property tax, especially the one that I owe $1,400 a year on is my property tax. $1,482 a year for 1 out of 3 is what I pay in property tax. You want to live there? You want to pay rent? You laid on the rent. You pay the property rent, or you pay the property tax too. I don't lose it. It's not going to auction, and I use it as collateral constantly whenever I need to. So, yeah, I'm all down. Can anybody want to sign up for that?
If it were a normal situation, you would have already lost it. But let's not talk about the hypotheticals. Let's talk about the actuals. What's really going on? Sir, whereas Tommy may have lost his millions and be living with his mother, you have never made $1 million. You struggle to keep the lights on. You struggle to keep any bills paid and food on your table. You struggle not to drink all the money that you do get. You struggle not to smoke whatever money you do get. You struggle not to snort whatever money you do get. You struggle not...
I hate to cut you off on that roll there, D. Rizzo, but let me ask you an honest question. Do you think that the addiction of lavish lifestyles is considered an actual addiction? Fronting, lying, manipulating. You should look into narcissistic personalities. Narcissistic, sociopathic characteristics. And you can just go down the list and check almost every one of them for Tommy Sotomayor. And with that being said, it's expensive to lie and fake and front and play, pretend. It is expensive, and it's an addiction, because prior to, any of this happening, he was nobody. And now he's nobody again. So when you have that roller coaster ride all the way to as high as he got, and then you come plummeting down, which again, if you remember, is the name of my documentary, The Rise and Fall of Tommy Sotomayor. There was a tagline to it. Something like the millionaire that was never intended to be, or something. I forget. It's pretty cool though. I'll have to look. I haven't worked on it in a while, but it's really no different. Well, I guess it is different, but you know what I mean? It's I don't know. I just don't understand again how, two seemingly sane men, D. Rizzo, myself, 2 men who have been involved with this for 6-7 years, inside, outside, upside down. And yet you look at True Freeman in this perspective of like, he's just a pile of shit. And you look at Tommy Sotomayor as if he's done something noble, and, he's just, he's come on to a stroke of bad luck. Really?
Not to squander whatever money you get on useless items that you throw on sale for pennies. For pennies, Tyra. You struggle. Reality is you're on bail right now and could very likely be in jail in a few short weeks.
And Tommy has luckily been away from jail by the skin of his teeth, literally. And again, that's, if you remember, that's one thing I always said I do respect about Tommy is the fact that he never really lets people see him sweat. There have been so many things that have happened to him that nobody knows about. Nobody knows about. And he knew enough, and he was smart enough to never, ever, ever disclose that. So listen, guys, it's an hour, 28 minutes. And we only got about another about 3 or 4 minutes to go. I'm just going to speed this up, and we're going to let this roll out. I didn't want to make this long. Let me see here.
You could be in jail. So while you're marveling at the sight of Tommy Sotomayor falling from off of the top of a mountain and crashing down very close to you, consider the fact that he climbed that mountain. Whether he cheated or whatever to get up there, he climbed. He climbed, and he enjoyed some sort of comfort for his trouble.
No, he didn't, D. Rizzo. No, he didn't. Because, Tommy, when you live that lifestyle, if you remember, he answered the door in Arizona with a loaded gun to a 9-year-old who was trick-or-treating. Do you remember that? He had no peace. For the last 6 or 7 years, he has had no peace. He has constantly had to watch his back. He's constantly had to look over his shoulder. He's constantly had to go every day, jump online, see who's saying what. He constantly had to do damage control. He constantly had to mitigate lies and propaganda. He constantly had to hire callers to create certain scripts. He had to pay for clicks. He had to pay for likes. He had to pay for comments. He always had to put this together, all to create an illusion. He was always running from jail. He was always waiting to see the next mother of his fatherless children that was going to take him for child support. Do you remember that? He climbed nothing. He didn't climb no fucking mountain. He stole a bunch of money, tried to buy his way out of actually going to prison for failure to pay child support and domestic violence. In hopes that he could replenish that money that he just had to give away with new scams. It's a vicious circle, a vicious appetite, his addictions that he had to keep feeding. And I'm not a hypocrite. Addiction's addiction. I don't care what you're addicted to. You're addicted to showing people you're something you're not. You're addicted to playing makeup every day and make believe. Whatever. He didn't climb no fucking mountain, though. He robbed a bunch of people and knew a bunch of tricks on how to pay for propagandists and callers and clicks and likes and algorithmic. Luckily finding a couple incels at YouTube who have turned a blind eye to him for as long as they did. That's not skill. There's no skill involved in that. And I mean, I'm just, I get passionate because, again, I don't understand how somebody seemingly as smart as you are, I don't understand how you don't see this. He climbed nothing. He stood on a bunch of bad choices. He's put bounties on people. He's threatened people. He's had young girls lose their jobs. He's had people doxxed. He's had people stalked. He's had CYS called on black women that he just found one night randomly surfing the internet looking for somebody to pick a fight with. He's done the most deranged, immoral, fucking disgusting things that I never even thought somebody could actually do, like having a death party for what was her name? The girl that was found in the freezer. Do you remember that? Showing her photos of the crime scene photos of her being in the being found in the freezer playing Ice Ice Baby. But nobody tells you that she died at the hands of black men. Right? But it's black women. He climbed nothing. He didn't climb anything. He stood on top of. That's all he did. You know, and not in the defense of True Freeman, but, you know, okay, you're right. I guess with regards of Tommy did stand on something. But True Freeman stood on level ground the entire time watching it all happen. So, I mean, I guess, again, this is just a different point of view. This is the same sensory information. I guess completely different analysis, but however, we're analyzing the exact same available content. But somehow it's hitting you differently than it's hitting me. Because your perception of what this is completely shaped differently than what my perception is. Because my perception, Sotomayor didn't stand on nothing. He stood atop no high mark or anything near noble or anything to be proud of whatsoever.
Whereas you have been sitting at the bottom of that hill, in the mud and the shit, looking up, watching him climb for years, hoping and praying for him to fall so that he could just be a little bit closer to you, which is all you really want. You don't want to see somebody climb. You want them to be sitting in the mud and the shit next to you.
And that's true, dude. That's true. Miserable people love miserable people. Misery loves company. And, you know, I agree with that statement. Because there's probably nobody that wanted his failure more than True Freeman. But at the same time, I still believe that True Freeman was astute enough, as I am, to see that this was coming no matter what. I mean, even if nobody ever said anything to anyone, this is still inevitably going to happen. Unlike, say, True Freeman, who has to have this constant force of outside lunacy trying to destroy his life. Sotomayor destroyed his own life because he's a hateful troll who robbed and stole a bunch of money from tens of thousands of people. From lie after scam, the fight against liberalism, fatherless America, Soto Cruz, Soto Vision, like on and on and on. There was even one time he literally tried to start a GoFundMe because he believed people would say, Tommy, we want you to live a baller lifestyle. We're paying for you to live an experienced life through your baller lifestyle. He literally said those words and started a GoFundMe because he believed that people wanted to see him live like a baller. And I told him the day he did that, and this is published, I said, Tommy, you're insane. You're crazy. Nobody ever gave you one penny to live like a baller. You're stealing their money and spending it how you want, and now you're asking for more? I have it all, D. Rizzo. You don't remember that either? I mean, anybody could see this was coming for Sotomayor. You cannot put this out into the universe and expect to be unscathed, not with the wake of damage that he has created and the literal lives he has destroyed. Literal.
You've always been, where you will always be, and you will never leave. Could your situation get worse? Yes. Yes, it can. Because while others fall into the mud and the shit where you are going to sink into the shit. You're going to drown in the shit. You're going to be part of the prison complex, and the government will dictate when you wake up, when you go to sleep, what you eat, what you watch before you go to sleep, who you can see, who you can't. And then when they finally do let you out, they won't let you vote. They won't let you buy a precious gun, and they will know your whereabouts until they say they don't need to know anymore. So, as you dance and sing and marvel at the splendor of this great fall, like King Kong falling off of the Empire State Building, always remember that the whole time King Kong was ravaging up the Empire State Building, breaking windows and throwing people out and destroying stuff and swatting at planes and throwing feces all over the city, while he was doing that, you were hiding in an alley, sitting next to a garbage can, hoping and praying.
So with your analogy, dude, Tommy is King Kong? I'm not laughing. So Tommy is King Kong, who climbed up top the Empire State Building and threw shit around? And that's to be revered how? That's noble? Or we're not looking for nobility? That's respectable? Okay.
That some of his shit would land on your face. So at the very least, you would get a small taste of success that you have never known on your own.
So wait a sec. Let me, because I want to understand, dude. I really do. I mean, I could tell you that I'm a psychiatrist and I have a doctorate in psychiatry and I'm a practicing psychologist. I could tell you all of that. If it's true or not, probably not true, but it could be. So, but just so you know that I'm so intrigued by the human mind and the capabilities. Maybe I'm a hobbyist. Maybe I'm a hobbyist psychologist. I don't know. Maybe I just read a lot of books about psychology and psychiatry. I don't know. But I'm very, 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 very intrigued by your analogy here. And it's more so the end part. And I just want to make sure I heard this right. That Tommy's shit, who is being equated to King Kong, who climbed the Empire State Building and ravaged everything he touched. True Freeman was down below the Empire State Building on the ground with the normies the commoners in the shit and squalor and disease of the streets of New York City and the rats. Just all looking up at big, awesome King Kong ravaging the building and the skyline with the intended purpose and hope that either some of the shit that falls out of the anus of King Kong, which is Tommy, or some of the shit that's being flung by such a large animal climbing up atop. Well, he's not a monkey. Who was King Kong, a gorilla? Or what was King Kong, an ape? Gorilla? Monkey? I don't know. I've never seen it. And I've never seen the new ones. But your analogy says that True Freeman was down on the ground in the shit and squalor, hoping to get a taste of Tommy's shit. I just want to make sure I heard that right. Because it's fascinating, dude. It's fascinating. Very creative, and it's fascinating. Let me take this back just a little bit here. Yeah, right there. Okay, let's see.
That you have never known. You would get a small taste in it playing, falling off of the Empire State Building, whereabouts, until they say they don't need to know anymore. So, as you dance and sing and marvel at the splendor of this great fall, like King Kong falling off of the Empire State Building, always remember that the whole time King Kong was ravaging up the Empire State Building, breaking windows and throwing people out and destroying stuff and swatting at planes and throwing feces all over the city, while he was doing that, you were hiding in an alley, sitting next to a garbage can, hoping and praying that some of his shit would land on your face. So at the very least, you would get a small taste of success that you have never known on your own.
Nice. So, well, there you have the title. I may use that as the title. Tommy Sotomayor's shit tastes like success. As a can is rolling down the street. Can you guys hear that? And I'm on the 3rd floor, so I mean, but it's snowing out and it's windy and cold, and I have a fire roaring. I'm on my 4th glass of Merlot, and I'm Covert Radio. You guys take care, and you have a good day.